Global travel is facing an unprecedented rupture. Borders that once welcomed millions are now closing with little notice. Airlines are canceling routes as governments tighten regulations. The $100 billion American tourism sector teeters on the edge of collapse, unnoticed by mainstream headlines. The shift is not temporary. It signals a structural transformation in global mobility. Subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments what you see seeing on the ground so you stay a step ahead. Over the past 3 years, international mobility has entered a phase of accelerated restriction. Political instability, health crises, and security concerns have prompted governments to reevaluate the free flow of people. Traditional hubs of tourism are seeing dramatic declines, while new corridors emerge under strict oversight. Economic pressures are forcing states to reconsider travel incentives. The dynamics are no longer seasonal fluctuations. They represent strategic recalibrations. Cross-border commerce, once reliant on rapid traveler movement, is adapting to delayed schedules and selective entries. Corporations are reconsidering where to base employees for short-term assignments. The interplay between national security and economic survival is reshaping the global map of mobility. The result is a complex, rapidly shifting environment where past assumptions no longer hold. Each border closure has cascading effects on supply chains and regional economies. This new era is also characterized by asymmetric responses. While some countries enforce near-total restrictions, others implement partial openings tied to surveillance and compliance. Travel corridors that existed for decades are now conditional. Governments monitor data streams from airlines, embassies, and immigration authorities to calibrate policy in near real time. In this landscape, strategic intelligence on mobility becomes critical for planning. The American tourism collapse is emblematic. Once the largest inbound and domestic market, it is now contracting sharply due to a combination of policy uncertainty and reduced confidence. Travel advisories fluctuate frequently, and incentives for visitation have diminished. This decline is not just financial, it has geopolitical implications. Regional partners dependent on American tourism dollars face destabilizing pressures. Investors and policymakers must treat these shifts as structural rather than temporary. Conventional forecasting tools fail to account for the speed and unpredictability of border policy changes. In this environment, real-time intelligence, scenario modeling, and cross-sector collaboration are essential. Understanding the interdependencies between mobility, politics, and economics is no longer optional. It is strategic necessity. Passport power has quietly eroded. Countries that once offered visa-free access or simplified ETAs are reviewing agreements under national security pretext. Travelers who relied on exemptions are encountering abrupt revocations. Digital systems designed to streamline entry now flag minor discrepancies as grounds for denial. What appeared as administrative change is increasingly a form of control. ETAs and online approvals are subjected to continuous algorithmic evaluation. A rejected application may trigger automated alerts impacting future travel. Governments use shared intelligence databases to cross-check information in real time. The speed of response can leave travelers with little recourse, exposing vulnerabilities in traditional visa frameworks. What once required planning months in advance now demands constant monitoring. Some nationalities are disproportionately affected. Americans, for example, face heightened scrutiny in regions previously considered low risk. Reciprocal restrictions have increased. Even frequent travelers encounter added layers of documentation and verification. The ease of global movement is being recalibrated along security vectors rather than economic or leisure considerations. Airlines must adapt rapidly to fluctuating visa requirements. Flight schedules are disrupted as carriers adjust for denied boarding or entry. Rebooking procedures and compensation policies are strained. Travel insurance policies are increasingly restrictive, reflecting the higher probability of denials or forced returns. The operational costs of compliance are climbing, translating into both financial and reputational risks. Ultimately, the passport visa landscape is no longer a predictable mechanism. It has become a vector of control and influence. Travelers must anticipate sudden policy shifts. Governments leverage these tools strategically. balancing diplomatic relations, security concerns, and economic interests. In this environment, informed navigation is essential for both individuals and organizations engaged in international operations. Border security is now dominated by artificial intelligence and data-driven profiling. Facial recognition, behavioral analytics, and biometric databases form the backbone of entry assessment. Algorithms identify perceived risks, often flagging travelers before they even arrive at the airport. The efficiency is undeniable, but so are the risks of misclassification. Digital profiles aggregate historical travel, spending, and online behavior. AI evaluates patterns against national threat models. Minor anomalies can trigger secondary screenings or detentions. Governments emphasize preemptive control, shifting from reactive inspection to predictive interdiction. The cost of a false positive is high. Yet authorities prioritize systemic integrity over individual inconvenience. Airlines and port authorities are integrated into this surveillance ecosystem. Automated notifications flag deviations from expected itineraries. Security protocols are standardized across regions but are customized for nationality-specific risk assessments. Operational transparency is limited. Travelers rarely understand why interventions occur. Cybersecurity has become a critical aspect of mobility management. Personal data streams are vulnerable to breaches that can trigger cross-border scrutiny. State actors monitor network traffic for anomalies, linking digital and physical movement. Travelers must contend with an environment where virtual identity is inseparable from physical passage. This convergence of AI, profiling, and policy enforcement has reshaped border encounters. What was once a routine checkpoint is now a node in a global intelligence network. Risk management is no longer optional, it is operational reality. Strategic awareness and continuous adaptation are required to navigate these systems safely. Travel behavior is increasingly segmented by nationality. Americans, once privileged with wide access, now experience heightened verification. Western European passports retain some advantages, though scrutiny has intensified globally. Asia-Pacific travelers face region-specific restrictions that respond to geopolitical tensions. Perceptions of risk and convenience diverge sharply. Social media and travel forums influence expectations. Reports of detentions, extended vetting, and sudden rejections shape perception more than policy documents. Travelers adjust plans in real time, favoring destinations with perceived reliability over traditional appeal. Reputation and narrative have become strategic elements of mobility. Business travelers face distinct pressures. Nationality affects not only border clearance, but also service access, accommodation, and logistical support. Companies must incorporate these variances into operational planning. Failure to account for nationality-specific friction can result in delays, fines, or missed opportunities. Tourism flows now respond to comparative perception as much as regulation. Americans may choose neighboring countries with fewer complications. Europeans may pivot to Asia or Oceania based on historical agreements and technological infrastructure. Strategic decision-making in travel is increasingly informed by intelligence on perceived ease of movement. For states, traveler perception drives policy outcomes. Governments monitor arrivals, cancellations, and complaints to fine-tune enforcement. National reputation influences both economic performance and diplomatic leverage. Understanding the subtleties of these perceptions is crucial for projecting influence in the mobility sector. Minor administrative errors can trigger disproportionate consequences. Incorrect documentation, inconsistent answers, or flagged travel history may lead to detention or immediate deportation. These are not theoretical risks. They're occurring with growing frequency. The operational cost of missteps is high, both for individuals and institutions. Legal recourse is limited. Many detentions are summary, leaving travelers without avenues for appeal. Embassies and consulates operate under strained capacities, often providing minimal intervention. Companies face financial liability when employees are impacted. Strategic planning must account for these contingencies. Airline personnel are under increased scrutiny. Boarding denials are executed preemptively to minimize border complications. The procedural risk extends to carriers, creating incentives to over-enforce compliance. Flight disruptions ripple across networks, impacting both logistics and revenue. Economic fallout is evident. Tourism-dependent regions experience reduced spending, lost employment, and weakened foreign investment. Ripple effects extend to hospitality, transport, and service industries. Policy errors at the border translate directly into macroeconomic consequences. The strategic implication is clear. Even small miscalculations in travel planning can have outsized effects. Risk mitigation requires real-time intelligence, precise documentation, and awareness of nationality-specific protocols. The environment is unforgiving and errors are costly. Short-term projections suggest continued contraction in global mobility. Policy tightening will persist in response to security, economic, and health pressures. Countries may experiment with selective corridors, prioritizing high-value or low-risk travelers. Flexibility will be critical for operational planning. Medium term, we anticipate systemic integration of surveillance and automated enforcement. Border policies may increasingly rely on AI for real-time decision-making. Predictive models will influence not just entry approvals, but the broader pattern of airline scheduling, hotel allocation, and corporate travel. Global tourism markets may bifurcate. High surveillance corridors will serve elite business travel, while leisure segments contract or migrate to low-risk regions. The United States faces significant competitive pressure from Europe and Asia to retain inbound travelers. Recovery depends on clear, predictable, and secure pathways. Risk management will remain central. Organizations and individuals must develop contingency plans, redundancy in documentation, and intelligence feeds. Scenario exercises will become standard operational procedure. Reactive approaches are insufficient in an environment defined by sudden regulatory shifts. Finally, strategic collaboration across sectors, government, corporate, and technological is essential. Data sharing, policy coordination, and adaptive planning will define success. Those who anticipate the trajectory of mobility change will navigate the landscape effectively. Those who do not risk operational and financial collapse. The collapse of American tourism is both a symptom and a driver of a larger mobility crisis. Borders are no longer passive gateways. They are active instruments of control. The interplay of policy, technology, and perception has created an environment where missteps are costly and adaptation is mandatory. This is a strategic inflection point. Acting early is essential. Stay informed, stay ahead. Subscribe now and join the conversation below.